Now we'll start with the next plenary session. Millets for food security and agricultural practices. Ms. Sasirekha, researcher, Indian Institute of Millet Research, Hyderabad, will be moderating this session. She has worked as a research assistant in National Institute of Nutrition, ICMR, and her work is appreciated. She has been invited as a resource person at various talks. She has published her research work on consumer awareness and food adulteration. So with this brief introduction, I welcome Ms. Sasirekha to moderate this session.
So, hello everybody. Can I get a big hi from everyone? Hi. Let's Millet. Do you say yes to Let's Millet? Oh, I'm getting a little lower. Lot of knowledge you gain and still you're not saying Let's Millet. Are you ready? Let's Millet. You should repeat Let's Millet, right? Let's Millet. Thank you. So, coming to this. So coming to this session, first of all, this is completely for millets, food security and agricultural practices. As a developing country, if you see, India is continuing to face challenges related to nutritional security, food security especially, and then comes the nutritional security. One of the example is food security. If you take some countries like Pakistan, which has been faced lot of issues, if you had seen last year. And in that process, maybe we Indians also may face this challenge. So for that alternative, we got this beautiful indigenous crops known as millets, which are the smart food. So all you smart people should adapt to millets. So now we will go to this session. So I invite our first speaker in this session, Dr. Devaraj sir. I feel privileged to invite this person as I worked under him in National Institute of Nutrition. So under his expertise, he has worked a lot about millets. He has published a lot of papers and now also is ongoing a lot of projects on finger millet and all other supplementation studies also. So I invite you sir, please take it. So next coming to another speaker, we have Neeta Singh, Dr. Neeta Singh. So Neeta Singh is a public health professional and she is working with an Plan International also. So associated with many of the government flagships she has. So previously she worked with the rural development. So I welcome you both. So this session maybe will go in an aspect like how we can connect food security, nutritional security, and how your expertise is related to this. So you can start, if you have a presentation, you can go ahead. First we'll go with Dr. Devaraj.
Hello. At the outset, first I would like to thank organizing committee, principal madam, and other organizing committee members for giving this opportunity to talk and present my work on the millet. This is the first conference I am attending after almost 3 years because of COVID. Next slide. As you already know that, and since morning you have been hearing that millets and their health benefits, I'll briefly explain about whatever the research paper have been published till now. As you already know that these are not a outside food. These millets are our Indian traditional food. Next slide. So, thanks to Green Revolution, so millet production has been decreased because of the Green Revolution. At the same time, rice and wheat production has been drastically increased. Next slide. So, even though area production is decreased, but the productivity has been increased by 228%. It's because of adopting high yielding variety. Up to 1965 to 70, there was only 20% of our food basket is from millet. Now it is only the 6%. Now our food basket is dominated by rice and wheat. Next slide. So India produces more than 170 lakh ton of the millets, which is approximately 80% of Asia and 20% of global production. Next slide. This table shows that even though the millets are richest source of all the type of macro and micronutrients, when compared with other cereals and other food products, still all these days we have been neglecting millets. Next slide. So now I will touch upon some of the studies. There are n number of studies have been conducted. It's very difficult to go individual studies. I will touch upon the meta-analysis. Those who have conducted on millet studies, I am fortunate to be a part of those millet studies. Kausalya Madam and Dr. Raj Bhandari sir also the author of those meta-analysis studies. Next slide. So as you already know that iron deficiency anemia is one of the major public health problem in India, not only in India and throughout the world. So India lies in the severe health condition in terms of iron deficiency anemia. Next slide. So we collected all the research paper published on this area. So there were around 22 studies on humans, which showed that there was increase in hemoglobin levels by 13% and there was increase in serum ferritin level by 54% in those papers. So in the 22 studies, there were around 7 studies in the adolescent group, and it shows that the mean hemoglobin level was improved by 10.8 to 12.2 grams. Next. Overall, the millets are good for iron deficiency anemia. The millets consumption of millets will help to have the physiological iron requirement for an individual. So today morning we heard about the milk. Till now we have thought of that calcium milk is the richest source of calcium, but after listening to the Karwal research, now we have to promote lot of finger millet because this finger millet has the 3 times higher than the milk. So go back. It's calcium is critical for the growth of babies through to adolescent. At an older age, osteoporosis is a serious health issue. Finger millet is a calcium dense food. In this study, we have analyzed the calcium retention and the bioavailability with the finger millet. So depending on the type of processing, calcium bioavailability either decrease or increase. Results of this study suggest that there was significant retention of calcium from finger millet based diet. Next slide. So throughout world, the type 2 diabetes is prevalence is increasing like anything. Recent publication suggests that in India there was prevalence is 8%, whereas throughout India it's a 6.2%. We have done some meta-analysis on this type 2 diabetes. Next slide. There were around 80 studies on humans from the 11 countries, of which 65 studies were eligible to do the meta-analysis of 1,000 people were studied. So the population included diabetic, pre-diabetic and non-diabetic individuals. In this study, there were 11 types of millets with various processing techniques were included. Results suggested that for diabetic individuals, blood sugar levels were lowered by 12% in fasting and 15% postprandial glucose levels. Individual blood glucose went from diabetic to pre-diabetic level. For diabetic individuals, HbA1c was lowered by 15%. For pre-diabetic, HbA1c was lowered by 17%. Next. So then we again one more publication on the meta-analysis was reported that on the obesity, over half of the world population are overweight or obese. Obesity is nearly tripled between 1975 to 2016. Next. So in this paper we have included 19 studies which are all on humans. Almost 900 people were involved. Based on the consumption of 50 grams to 200 grams per day for the duration of 21 days to 3 months. The millet reduced the cholesterol by 8% and lower the 10% of bad cholesterol. So it increases the good cholesterol by 6%, thus it lowers the blood pressure by 5% also. Overall, millet can reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular diseases. Next slide. So we did one more the meta-analysis on can feeding the millet-based diet improve the growth of the children. Millets contain more methionine, sulfur-containing amino acid than rice and wheat. So in this study, there was a significant positive effect on height, weight, MUAC and chest circumferences in various age groups like infant, preschool children, school-going children and adolescents. The positive effect of these millets are attributed to they have a naturally high content of growth promoting nutrients such as methionine, amino acid, total protein and calcium, that too in finger millet. Next slide. There were some questions on the nutritional anti-nutritional factor in the millets which inhibit the bioavailability of the minerals and micronutrients. One of our colleagues recently published this paper where they have done anti-nutrients such as phytic acid, tannins and polyphenols are present in the millets. These reduces the bioavailability and bioaccessibility of the other minerals. Next slide. So our colleagues have done this study. They have used the sorghum, pearl millet and finger millet items recipes. They cooked and they soaked in water and they fermented with the curd overnight. Then they tested the phytic acid levels. Next slide. In this paper, they have clearly shown that the phytic acid content was significantly reduced in the sample which was traditionally cooked, fermented overnight and then added with the curd. It means that process may improve the bioavailability of minerals, especially iron and zinc. The high retention of water-soluble vitamins such as B2, B3 and B5 was found in the processed millets. Next slide. Now I will talk about my active involvement in the millet research. This study has been already, clinical study has been completed. Only we are waiting for the gut microbiota data. Effect of pearl millet chickpea supplementation on hemoglobin improvement and gut modulation among adolescent girls with mild and moderate anemia. We have selected the biofortified variety of pearl millet, that is Balwa Dhanshakti variety, which has a high iron and high zinc along with a high protein and dietary fiber. This study is funded by ICMR and ICRISAT. ICRISAT was responsible for developing this chickpea. We gave the composition and they developed the chickpea, and we supplemented in Telangana State Welfare Department hostel. We supplemented 100 gram chickpea bar for 90 days, and there was a significant improvement in hemoglobin levels and the serum ferritin levels. Hopefully we will get the gut microbiota data by June end. By July end we are going to share the gut, how these pearl millet chickpea modulate the gut microbiota into beneficial way. Then we correlate with the improvement in the hemoglobin and serum iron status markers. Next slide. Thanks to the Niti Aayog, ICMR, so we have initiated, based on our pilot study, we got the confidence that by just giving 100 gram of chickpea, there was so much improvement. So we thought of replacing one meal per day may improve a lot. But after listening to Khazavali sir, we cannot say that replacement, we can say that addition. So this study has started since last 7 months. We are working on for this study. Efficacy of cooked millet diet and their effect on hemoglobin and micronutrient status among anemic women of reproductive age. It's a cluster randomized study. It's registered in CTRI. Next slide. As you already know that the iron deficiency anemia is a severe health problem in India. Next. So it is increasing from NFHS 4 to NFHS 5 also. More than 50% of women in the reproductive age are suffering from iron deficiency anemia. Next slide. Government of India taking a lot of action to combat iron deficiency anemia, like iron folic acid supplementation, food fortification, dietary approach, behavioral changes in communication campaign, deworming, regular deworming, testing of anemia using digital methods, National Iron Plus initiative. So now government is focusing on evidence synthesis of different interventions, that too on food-based approach. With this background, next slide. We hypothesize that replacing a cereal-based meal with millet-based meal, either breakfast or lunch, along with the snacks for 6 months, will improve hemoglobin along with other micronutrient levels among anemic women of reproductive age. Next slide. We have included women of reproductive age group in the 17 to 22 years. Mild, moderate, anemic were included, and we have excluded the severe anemic for our analysis, but we are supplementing the millet meal to all, entire hostel. Next slide. This is our design of our study. We have already initiated the study, feeding also. Already we have completed 80 days of successful intervention. We have included 405 into intervention group and 405 in control group. In around 3 hostels for intervention group and control group also the same number. Next slide. We are feeding them for 6 months. Then after 3 months of supplementation, we will be doing the midpoint supplementation, midpoint blood sample collection for hemoglobin improvement and other parameters. Next slide. So during these 4 months, we standardized 14 recipes. Then we have ended up with 11 recipes based on the feasibility at field level, and finally we have ended up with 7 recipes. These 7 recipes have been checked for the nutrient composition, anti-nutrient composition in the raw as well as cooked recipes, and then we have been started the feeding at the hostel level. Next slide. This is the menu chart where we are supplementing pearl millet 3 recipes, foxtail millet 2 recipes, and finger millet 2 recipes. Next slide. These are some of the photographs. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah, next slide. So we are regularly, next slide. We are regularly supervising with the project staff and project interns, and Telangana State Government Hostel Authority is very helpful in conducting this study. I want to see this type of phase in all the subject once it's get completed. Next slide. So we will be doing all the parameter, serum iron biostatus markers, and all the micronutrients, vitamin A and D. And along with that, we are also assessing the thyroid profile at baseline, at endpoint. There were some questions that the millet supplementation, increases the thyroid levels. So to answer that question, we are doing all the parameters for this study. Next. So recently we have got one more project on the finger millet. Effect of finger millet based dietary supplementation on gut microbiota composition and function in uncomplicated MAM children under 5. So next slide. So these are all the my collaborators and investigators. It's not I am presenting here only, but there are so many clinicians, microbiologists, and bioinformaticians are working for this project. Next slide. I will not go into deep into that. The 3 million children under 5 die because of malnutrition. It's not just food security alone. The recent developments are suggesting that there is a significant role of gut microbiota in the undernutrition. Next slide. So, in malnutrition condition, there is a dysbiosis of gut microbiota. There is a ratio of beneficial and gut pathobiont will be altered, and that will impair the absorption of micronutrients. Again, it creates the malnutrition. Next slide. So there are 3 problems in the undernutrition. The balance of between the beneficial and pathobiont alters. With the high dietary fiber in finger millet, it will restore the beneficial commensal microbiota population and improve the core microbiota functions. And there is a high inflammation in levels in the gut health. So because due to the anti-inflammatory properties of finger millets, it reduces the inflammation, which will re-establish the intestinal epithelial barrier integrity. So next slide. So our hypothesis is that this finger millet diet supplementary will help to revival of dearranged gut microbiota and in turn impact linear and ponderal growth and overall health. Next slide. So we are going to recruit 100 MAM children for finger millet mix and another 50 for Balamrutam, which is existing the program in Telangana state, and we are going to recruit healthy children. For healthy children, again we are going to supplement finger millet as well as another 50 subject for Balamrutam. Next slide. This is our workflow. We are going to supplement for 2 months, and we are going to follow them up for another 4 months. We will be collecting 5 fecal sample, blood sample at 5 different time points, and we are going to analyze those how the each supplementation if impact on the gut composition and function. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. So the overall, we are going to see the composition analysis and the transcriptome analysis of gut microbiota And we are also analyzing the nutritional and anti-nutritional profiling of finger millet as well as the wheat-based products. And we are going to assess the anthropometry and the post-inflammatory markers from blood as well as the stool. Next slide. So this study will help to understand the immediate and long-term effect of these intervention on the gut microbiota composition as well as the function along with the inflammatory markers. Next slide. So these are some of the photographs. Next slide. So we can design studies to reduce anti-nutrients in millets for increasing the bioavailability minerals and trace elements, and we should identify the different enhancers to increase the bioavailability, such as adding lemon or Indian gooseberry. So we need to work on the millet pulse combination for protein content, amino acid content, and quality and the digestibility of the protein. So we should work together to have the effective studies of millet based on gut microbiota, not only on overweight obese, we should concentrate about the NCDs also. Next slide. Thank you.
So it's looking at a scientist, this is how the clinical studies will be made, and it's a lot of hard work. How NIN is working, they're going into the community level also, they're focusing on the disorders like obesity, malnutrition, anemia, all the factors they're covering. So it's a proven facts that scientific studies are there which will enhance how millet can be used into our daily life. So we'll take, now we request Neeta Singh to give her valuable inputs.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not going to take much of your time. I know we are running behind time, so I'm not going to take more than 10 minutes. And I'll try to cover those points which I think is still not touched. However, you know that the millets have been discussed in detail, and all the stalwarts, you know, they have beautifully covered the all aspects of millets. So I just want to talk about and especially initiate my comment with some statistics. So I would like to also, you know, make you understand the gravity of the malnutrition of our country in comparison to the Maharashtra state. Because I'm so happy to see that the millet mission has been launched here. So we have it's like a human tendency, I would say, until unless we know the cause, then, you know, if the cause is there, then only we think about that, yeah, we should be serious enough. So I think the figures will make you understand that what is the gravity of the situation. Then obviously, I don't think so any behavioral change sort of model is required. So here, some of the point that sir has already covered, which is related to the anemia aspect. So here, I want to say that in the morning's presentation, sir, Dr. Raj Bhandari was talking about the triple burden of malnutrition. So India is suffering from triple burden. What is it? The undernutrition, overnutrition, obesity, or the hidden hunger. Hidden hunger is the micronutrient malnutrition, micronutrient deficiency. This together comprise of the triple burden. So like in terms of our national context, as per a National Family Health Survey 5, the under 5 children, the children below 5 years, 67% of children below 5 years are suffering from anemia. When it comes to the women of reproductive age, so it's like 57%. If I quickly compare with the Maharashtra state, because we are here introducing millet, talking about millets and a lot of other intervention. Why? So what is the need? So actually situation is actually grave in the state of Maharashtra. When at the national level I'm saying the 67% under 5 children are anemic,
In Maharashtra, some 69% under 5 children are anemic. Now you can see that this 69% itself says that this anemia has become a public health emergency. Now you see, you can yourself understand if something has become public health emergency, so how much the effort is required. Right, so this is one point I wanted to make. In terms of, I just wanted to quickly, because I know I'm the last speaker and I don't have much time, so I'll just try to be crisp enough. Generally, what I have been seeing, because I'm in a public health background, that generally malnutrition considers as a undernutrition. Generally, people think about that undernutrition is a grave problem. But the figures are showing something else in the state of Maharashtra, where if I talk about the BMI, the body mass index of women, it's around 22%, and the obesity, like the BMI, I mean the 18.5 which says below 18.5 BMI, जितनी women में जितने percent of women में है वो 22% है. And when it comes to the obesity, so 24% of the women are suffering from obesity, especially in Maharashtra state. The figures are quite better at the national average level. So here we can see, when Sir was talking about the triple burden, we can see that when undernutrition, even the overnutrition, obesity is more than the low BMI level, which shows that these equal effort, at the same time intensive efforts are required to tackle the undernutrition, overnutrition, as well as the micronutrient deficiency. Because in terms of women, when Sir was presenting, he talked about that for some 57% women of reproductive age group is suffering from anemia, and when it comes to Maharashtra, so some 54%. It's better than the national average, but this shows that every second woman and child in our country, in our state, is suffering from anemia. When I come to the men, so every 1/4 person is suffering from anemia. I'm not going to ask that whether you guys are aware about your hemoglobin status or no, because I'm sure you all are very much health conscious, and I'm sure if you are not aware, so please go and get yourself tested about the anemia. So this is one thing I wanted to make you understand the gravity of the situation. Now, if situation is actually worse, so obviously now we have to look at the solution, and solution part has been beautifully covered since morning to till evening, that what are the possible solutions. So yes, the solution, I would say, as a public health management person, there are two strategies, the short term strategy and the long term strategy, because the situation is worse. We cannot actually wait for the long term strategy and see the time. We don't have that time. So for short term strategy, the government of India, what the kind of intervention they are providing. So for tackle the anemia, the supplementation, the iron supplementation is already being implemented in our country. It's a kind of a short term strategy. Then another strategy is the food fortification strategy. So it's like the food fortification is it has become mandatory in 3 to 4 commodities, that is wheat flour, rice, oil, milk, and iodine. So here because it is that the iron deficiency status we have already discussed here. There are the deficiency of vitamin A, vitamin D, and this is the reason this food fortification strategy has come up. It's a proven strategy, but together if the food fortification and iron supplementation, these are a kind of a short term strategy, so which would together it will help to tackle this situation. At the same time, millets, this is a permanent and long term strategy, because it's not only serving the micronutrients, but at the same time it's like the protein, the antioxidant, the lot of nutrition value what we have been hearing from the stalwarts. So this is the one permanent solution I see from my point of view, that this is not, but this is for the long term purpose. Some sort of behavioral change is required, At the same time, when sir was also talking about, and some of the stalwarts touched upon, that if like when we are talking about the demand and supply, at the same time, see, if it is if like we will have to look at the availability part. If it is not available, right, first of all the farmers have to produce this much quantity, because we are living in the country which has 140 crore population. We cannot deny this fact. So we are living in the this much populated country. So here, and the overall millet production it's comparatively less. So first of all, I mean, I would say an integrated model will serve the purpose. When the farmers are actually being encouraged, they are getting the adequate technology, right? They are getting some sort of incentive to just to produce the millet. At the same time, the lot of awareness generation, what I'm seeing that already people are talking about, lot of things are happening. I'm seeing for the anemia, for the malnutrition, for SAM children, for MAM children, the lot of initiative has been taken up in this different states. So here I think a holistic approach is required when the farmers are actually producing the adequate quantity, and on the consumer side, like we are aware that this is important and we have to consume, and the private player has a private sector has a critical role here, because ultimately if these kind of things are not available in the market, I don't think so though we are aware about it, but we will not be able to purchase it. So this together, and one more thing is the affordability. So the lot of the government of India is putting efforts in terms of livelihood generation. So I'm sure this holistic approach will be able to tackle this. Just one last point which is related to this plenary, which is the discussion point or key point of this plenary session, which is food security. So I just want to talk about a little more that the food security largely talks about the quantity, adequate quantity, that it should be available to all people. But now we are heading towards the nutrition security, because nutrition security means the quantity, yes, it should be there, but with diversity and quality. So this is one important thing. Here I want to just relate this point with the NF, which is the National Family Health Survey, which shows that the children, the under 3 children, and especially under 3 children, like whenever they start their complementary feeding. So in the state of Maharashtra, only 9% children are getting the dietary diversity in their diet. However, the national average is 11%, which is pretty less. You know that the dietary diversity, we know that as per WHO, at least, we should have minimum 4 food groups in our diet, right? And now we can see that at the age of, this is my last point. So under 3-year child is has the 9% dietary diversity in the state of Maharashtra. So this is again what sir was mentioning again. Dr. Bandari, he mentioned in the beginning itself that अगर जितना जल्दी हमारे पास अगर हमारे टेस्ट बर्ड्स हैं अगर हम अर्ली ही वो उनको स्टिमुलेशन मिल रहा है डाइटरी डाइवर्सिटी का, तो हम लंबे समय तक वो वाली चीज़ें फॉलो कर सकते हैं, फिर हमें फर्दर बिहेवियर चेंज मॉडिफिकेशन पे काम नहीं करना पड़ता है. तो दिस इज़ माई पॉइंट. And thank you so much for giving this chance. Thank you, Madam, Dr. Madan. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I really wanted to talk about much, but yes, I do understand that the time limitation is there. Thank you, everybody, for.
So thank you so much, Neeta Singh. So I would take only 2 things from each one of you. So as you are saying, each state, if we take up a case study, what more strategies, in one word you can say, what more strategies in each state to create dietary diversity? In each state, if we take up as a case study of each state, how can we create dietary diversity?
See, dietary diversity, I would say there are three drivers basically for dietary diversity. There's one is the availability, number two is the affordability, and the third is the consumption. So these are the three drivers for the food security as well as the nutrition security. So yes, like if I'm talking about dietary diversity, obviously it should be available. If it is available nearby, then I should have that purchasing power also to purchase this. And if I can purchase that particular product, so I should be aware that whether, what is the importance of this, whether I should eat or I should discard. So that consumption, so these three are the critical thing, then only, I think dietary diversity can be changed. Thank you.
So you all agree for that? Three factors. So right. Thank you.
I have one more point because I'm taking a little time. Actually, now I'm associated with Plan International, but before I was working in health ministry and then the MORD also. So fortunately, I got this opportunity to not only work in the nutrition specific intervention, but on the nutrition sensitive intervention. So I'm just taking a one more minute that for nutrition sensitive intervention, what I did when I was working as assignment with MORD, that like for the availability, generally affordability cannot be, improved in a one day. Like lot of livelihood opportunity was provided by, is being provided by government, I would say. But how can we begin this dietary diversity wala part? So with the help of SHGs, हमने बैकयार्ड गार्डन के लिए उनको सजेस्ट किया था, जो विलेज में जिनके पास में दे डू नॉट हैव एनी इनकम जनरेशन सोर्स, बट स्टिल डाइटरी डाइवर्सिटी के लिए बात करनी है. अगर इफ समथिंग द गुड फ्रूट्स वेजिटेबल्स आर अवेलेबल इन देयर बैकयार्ड ओनली, देन ऑब्वियसली it's very easy for them to consume. But yes, for awareness generation through SHGs, we were just keep on training them that yes, this is important. We were sort of providing the seed, how they have to grow. So with a little technique and no cost intervention, I would say I'm really happy to share here. As of now, I do not have the data, madam, but yes, it really worked well. So thank you.
Thank you. So to you,
locally available, yes.
so regarding to your expertise, how can you collaborate your central institutes like ICMR, NIN, IAMR, ICRISAT, all this with institutes and also the dietitians fraternity, all the dietitians who are working, so to increase to create awareness about millets and also to enhance the food security?
Yeah. For 140 crore population, we have only one NIN, only one IAMR. So ICMR, NIN and IAMR cannot work throughout India. It cannot reach every nook and corner of the India. So we have to tie up with the universities, home size colleges, and we have to have the local players also, all the NGOs who are working in this area, and we have to have the like-minded people all together work for this the noble cause, so that we can reduce the malnutrition, undernutrition and anemia. Khadarwalli sir has told that he has reached many times to CFTR and other. There is a system. Sometimes each system fails, but we cannot live like that. We should work together. So only collaborative work. So ICMR, NIN has its own identity, and the expertise in clinical conducting clinical surveys and studies, and IIMR is known for its development and processing technology. We can work together with the universities, with the colleges. Colleges have the very good manpower and intellectual power. We can work together. It's not a big issue.
Thank you. So, any two questions we can take up? Anybody? Food security, nutrition. You have seen a lot of studies. You are food science and nutrition students.
The prizes to be won also, right? We'll give it to you in this session. Ask another one.
So, anybody is going to ask?
Dr. Devaraj, I wanted to ask you about your study. How challenging was it for you to, feed, this kind of food? I mean, of course, in first it was chicky, and it was more of a pilot kind of a thing. But this meal, and that to adolescent girls in a hostel, what are the challenges you are facing and you have faced, yeah? And how did you overcome that?
Because of lack of time, I have not touched those points. Sasirekha would be the right person to answer the first chicky study. Okay. She was working with us for that first study.
So I was a part of that research study. So when we go to field, so we experience lot of problems from those adolescent girls. Giving a chicky, asking them to eat it like a dairy milk every day, they won't accept. So it's a very hard task, but we created awareness by poster presentations, by creating a lot of presentations, discussing personally how this chicky is beneficial, and it's glad to see those results. Even I was shocked, who are under anemic, like less than 5, they need some blood transplantation have to be done. But after consuming this chicky, I have personally seen the results of the biochemical parameters, it has been increased. Besides that, we have also intervention is giving the IFA tablets, iron folic acid tablets also. So that is also a problem. Consuming a tablet every day, weekly twice is also a problem. They used to throw it away. They say we took the tablet. But yeah, supervision of this study is very important. That's how NIN is working. The project staff worked really hard, going to the hostel early in the morning, sitting with the students, discussing. But it's interesting, right? We have a lot of opportunity to discuss with the students. We even played games with them. That's how we made a rapport with them, and then we made them to eat our chicky. That's how we.
So yes, in continuation with the current study where we are conducting, it is very difficult. Now we are facing a lot of challenges because in Telangana that pearl millet acceptability is very low. We thought of replacing at least 80 to 90 grams per day, but it is not possible to replace that much. Now we have reached to at least 65 grams. We started with the 40 grams. Because of that pearl millet less acceptability, we have slowly introduced. First 2 weeks was very tough for us. There was a lot of wastage was there. So then we gave them a knowledge session, and we did some changes in the recipes, and we created an interest. We conducted a quizzes. Like that, we have now by 75 days. Now we have reached that intake has reached to 65 grams as of now. It's very challenging, madam, because we are conducting in welfare department hostels. With their support only, we are able to manage this.
Excuse me, sir. I want to ask, like you told you have added millets to the chicky bars.
Yes.
So the main constituent was pearl millet, or apart as you told now?
Pearl millet.
Or is the mix? That's what I was.
Pearl millet.
Okay, thanks.
So I have a question here. Just now, while talking, ma'am said was that along with this, you were giving the folic acid tab.
No.
Because
So actually, there were 2 studies. In one group we have given only IFA. In another group we have given chicky.
Okay.
So both the hostels are adjacent to each other. We were conducting that study. So actually that hypothesis is that the oral supplementation of IFA negative impact on the gut microbiota. For that reason, we have introduced the chicky. So we wanted to compare both the IFA as well as chicky at the baseline, how it, after the supplementation, is there any changes in a beneficial way or pathogenic way?
And what was the amount of the chicky? It was
100 gram per day.
100 gram per day. Okay. Thank you.
Same diet were taking.
But then
Hostels. Yes.
So thank you. Thank you so much, speakers, for giving your insights. Thank you, Jagmeet ma'am, and all the organizers for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Sasirekha, for handling this session so wonderfully. And thank you, sir, thank you, madam, for those wonderful thoughts. You shared your experiences, experiments with us. It definitely added value to our knowledge.